Defeat. The word strikes like a hammer, leaving an imprint on the soul. It whispers its cruelty in the quiet moments, reminding you of your broken dreams, your failed attempts, your lost chances. But what if I told you, defeat is not your enemy? What if I told you that in the depths of your greatest failures lie the keys to your most incredible transformation? Let me take you on a journey into the power of defeat. A journey that will turn everything you know about failure on its head. We've all felt it, that gut-wrenching feeling of falling short, of trying with all our might, only to find ourselves staring up from the ground, wondering where it all went wrong. The world tells us to avoid defeat, to run from it as if it's the worst thing that could happen to us. But in that moment of defeat, when everything seems lost, you are standing at the doorway of your most profound growth. You see, defeat is not the end, it's the beginning. The beginning of something deeper, something more powerful than any victory can offer. You might feel lost, you might feel hopeless, but you are being shaped, you are being molded by the very hands of failure. And when you rise again, you'll find that you're stronger, sharper, and more determined than ever before. The truth is, the greatest people in history didn't just rise because of their successes. They rose because of their defeats. They learned more from their losses than from their wins. They discovered strengths they didn't know they had, resilience they never thought possible, and courage that could never have been found on the path of ease. So, if you've ever fallen, if you've ever felt like giving up, I need you to understand this. Your defeat does not define you, it refines you. The failures you've experienced are not chains that will keep you bound. They are the very forces that will propel you toward your greatest achievements. But it's not easy. The journey is not for the faint of heart. It will demand everything from you. And yet, in that struggle, you will find your true power. Because defeat, no matter how painful, is where you find your authentic self. You strip away the illusions, you face the raw truth, and in doing so, you discover what truly matters. So, I invite you to embrace defeat, not as your enemy, but as your greatest teacher. Because only when you understand the power of your fall will you truly learn how to rise. This is the power of defeat. It is not a barrier to your success. It is the crucible in which your greatness will be forged. Section 1. The Fall. Every journey begins with ambition. You set your goals, fueled by dreams of success, driven by a vision of what you can become. The path ahead seems clear, full of possibilities, each step drawing you closer to something greater. You start strong, your confidence rising with each stride, your resolve hardening with every challenge you face. You feel invincible. But then it happens. The fall. A sudden shift, an unforeseen obstacle, or a moment of miscalculation. It could be a failure in front of others, the crushing weight of shattered expectations, or the slow burn of something falling apart when you least expect it. You didn't see it coming. No one does. You were too focused on your ambition, too determined to succeed, to even consider the possibility of failure. And then it hits. You are no longer the person who is climbing. You are the one who has fallen. You're lying there, battered, defeated, struggling to rise from the ground, the weight of failure pressing on you from all sides. In that moment, everything you've worked for seems to crumble away. The dreams that once seemed so tangible now feel out of reach, and the world around you feels impossibly distant. The harsh truth sinks in. This moment is not just an obstacle, it is the culmination of all your efforts, a reminder that no matter how hard you try, defeat is inevitable. The fall is not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental. It's the moment you realize that despite all your preparation, all your determination, all your effort, it wasn't enough. The ground beneath you feels cold, unforgiving. You question everything, the choices you've made, the paths you've taken. Doubts flood your mind. Was it all a waste of time? Was it ever meant to be? There's a sense of helplessness that creeps in, like a heavy fog. Your vision narrows, your thoughts become jumbled. You feel small, insignificant, like you've failed not just yourself, but everyone who's ever believed in you. For some, this is where the story ends. They allow the weight of defeat to crush them entirely, believing that the fall is permanent, that the dream was never meant to be. They stay down. But here's the thing, falling is not the end. It's simply a part of the process. What you do after the fall, how you choose to face it, is what truly matters. There is no true growth without falling. There is no true strength without struggle. The fall is just the beginning of something much more powerful. It forces you to confront the truth of who you are and where you stand, but it also gives you the opportunity to rise in ways you never could have imagined. The path ahead is not defined by the fall, but by what you do after it. Section 2. The nature of defeat. Defeat is a force that comes for everyone. It's not something that discriminates based on talent, background, or status. It arrives often unexpectedly when we least want it, and most need to learn from it. No matter who you are, defeat will eventually knock at your door. It's a powerful equalizer, leveling even the most successful among us. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. He was not only one of Rome's greatest emperors, but also a Stoic philosopher whose teachings have survived for centuries. His reign was marred by war, plagues, and the constant challenge of managing an empire that stretched across vast territories. Yet, despite his successes, he faced moments of profound defeat. His greatest battle was not against external enemies, but against the weight of leadership, personal loss, and the emotional toll of the challenges he faced. In his personal journals, which we now call meditations, Marcus frequently grappled with the sense of failure and self-doubt. Even as a ruler, he questioned whether his decisions were enough, whether he was living up to the virtues he believed in. His defeats, both internal and external, humbled him. Yet they also forged the character that allowed him to become one of the most respected leaders in history. Michael Jordan's story is another testament to the power of defeat. Before he was an icon, before he became synonymous with basketball greatness, he faced rejection. In high school, Jordan was cut from the varsity basketball team. It was a moment that could have broken him, a humiliation that would have turned many away from the game. Instead, Jordan used this setback as fuel. He didn't just want to prove others wrong, he wanted to prove something to himself. His drive, born from early defeat, was relentless. He turned the sting of rejection into motivation, transforming himself into a player who would go on to redefine the sport. Defeat for both Aurelius and Jordan didn't signify the end. Instead, it marked the beginning of transformation. They understood something vital. Failure is not the end of the story. It is merely a chapter, a moment in time, one that can either break you or build you. The difference lies in how you choose to respond. For many, the instinct is to retreat, to run from failure and protect the ego. But those who embrace defeat learn to use it as a stepping stone, not a barrier. What made both Marcus Aurelius and Michael Jordan stand out wasn't their innate skill or their unshakable success. It was their resilience in the face of failure. Aurelius could have let the turmoil of war and the weight of ruling the empire destroy his resolve. Instead, he turned to philosophy, finding strength in Stoicism, which taught that control lies not in external events but in our reactions to them. His defeats taught him the value of perseverance, the importance of maintaining one's character regardless of circumstances. Each setback only steeled his determination to lead with wisdom, and each personal failure became a lesson that fortified him for the battles ahead. Similarly, Jordan didn't allow his early defeats to define him. He saw each loss as a lesson in what he needed to improve. He knew that true mastery was a process, a continual evolution that could only be achieved through hard work, discipline, and the willingness to fail and learn from it. His legendary work ethic was born from a simple truth. He was willing to face defeat again and again because he knew that each loss brought him one step closer to victory. The truth that both Aurelius and Jordan discovered was that defeat is not only inevitable, but also necessary. It is only through facing adversity that we discover what we're truly made of. When you have nothing left to lose, when you've reached the lowest point, that's when your character is revealed. It's in the moments of defeat that the foundations of greatness are built. No one is born a champion. It's the trials, the losses, and the learning from them that shapes a true victor. This is why defeat, when viewed through the lens of growth, becomes a tool rather than an obstacle. It's a tool for self-discovery, for honing one's skills, and for building a character strong enough to face whatever comes next. The pain of defeat can be excruciating, but it is also a teacher. And those who take the lessons offered by defeat are often the ones who go on to achieve the extraordinary. Just as Marcus Aurelius turned the challenges of ruling an empire into a practice of self-mastery, Michael Jordan turned the sting of failure into a relentless pursuit of excellence. Defeat doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger. If you have the courage to embrace it, learn from it, and rise again. Section 3. The illusion of perfection. We live in a world that worships success, a world that constantly showcases flawless victories, perfect lives, and seemingly perfect people. We scroll through our feeds, through our timelines, and see the highlight reels, the shining awards, the joyous celebrations, the perfectly filtered photos that tell a story of effortless triumph. It's easy to get lost in this image, to believe that perfection is the goal, that it's something within our grasp, something that we must attain in order to be worthy, in order to succeed. But let me share a profound truth. Perfection is a myth. It is a beautifully crafted illusion, one that lures us in with promises of ease and success, but it hides the raw reality behind every achievement. Perfection whispers that we must have everything figured out, that we must never falter, that our journey should be free of mistakes, free of setbacks. And it's here, in this dangerous belief, that we begin to trap ourselves. Behind every polished victory, behind every social media post that radiates success, there are stories of struggle, failure, and raw human emotion. The winners you admire, they've faced rejection. The influencers you follow, they've fallen short of their own expectations. The entrepreneurs who seem to have it all together, they've lost everything at least once, sometimes twice, before they found the path to success. Every glowing achievement you see was built on a foundation of missteps, lessons learned the hard way, and countless moments of doubt. But here's the kicker. These flaws, these failures are not something to hide, to feel ashamed of, or to sweep under the rug. They are the very essence of what it means to succeed. In fact, it is through failure, not perfection, that we find the keys to growth. Without it, success becomes an empty shell, devoid of meaning or substance. The pursuit of perfection is dangerous because it causes us to miss out on the beauty of imperfection. Perfection is a moving target. It changes with time, with society, with the expectations we place on ourselves. And no matter how close we get to it, it always seems to slip away, just out of reach. We are constantly chasing something that is fundamentally unattainable. And in doing so, we set ourselves up for constant dissatisfaction. There's a darker side to this obsession with perfection. It leads us to compare ourselves to others, to believe that we are not enough because we don't measure up to the idealized versions we see online or in the media. We start to feel like our struggles are a reflection of our inadequacy, that somehow we are falling short of a standard that only exists in the minds of others. We become trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, trying to measure our worth against an ideal that was never meant to define us. But here's the powerful truth. Imperfection is not something to be ashamed of. It is the foundation of who we are, and more importantly, it is the gateway to who we are becoming. The most extraordinary people throughout history are not the ones who never stumbled. They are the ones who kept going, who learned from their mistakes, who embraced their flaws and turned them into strengths. Think about it. Leonardo da Vinci was an imperfect genius, constantly revising his work, never satisfied. Steve Jobs, one of the most influential minds of our time, was ousted from his own company before returning to lead it to unprecedented heights. Oprah Winfrey, one of the world's most beloved figures, was told she was unfit for television. These people, and countless others, did not fit into the mold of perfection. They were messy, they were flawed, and that's exactly what made them great. Perfection, when you chase it, keeps you on a treadmill that never stops. You are constantly running towards something just out of reach. But when you let go of the idea that you must be perfect, you open yourself up to the reality of growth. You allow yourself to fail, to stumble, to get back up again and again. In this cycle of effort, failure and reflection, you find your self, not the idealized version of yourself that exists only in fantasies. This shift in mindset is liberating. When you embrace imperfection, you allow yourself to truly live, to try without fear of failure, to push forward even when the road is uncertain, to create without worrying about judgment. You give yourself permission to be human. And in doing so, you begin to find the real beauty in the process of becoming, in the evolution of your story. Because in the end, it is not perfection that makes us great. It is the journey, the struggle, the rise from defeat, and the courage to embrace who we are, flaws and all. Every victory, every achievement, every breakthrough is a product of a long and often imperfect journey. The people you admire, they are not immune to setbacks. They've just learned to move forward in spite of them. They've learned that perfection doesn't exist, and in doing so, they've found the key to true success, the courage to embrace failure and use it as the springboard for growth. Perfection is a myth. It is the quest that keeps us in chains. The real power lies in the acceptance of our imperfections, the willingness to fail, and the understanding that it is through those very moments of defeat that we discover who we are meant to be. Section 4. The hidden strength of pain. Defeat hurts. There's no way around it. The sting of failure, the ache of unmet expectations, the deep, gnawing sensation of knowing you've given everything only to fall short, it cuts through you. It hits in places you didn't know could feel so raw. But here's the paradox. Pain, in all its harshness, is not the enemy. It is, in fact, a fierce ally in your journey toward growth. When you're defeated, the pain is immediate, almost overwhelming. It can feel like a physical wound. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your mind spins. You want to retreat, to hide, to erase the discomfort as quickly as possible. But in that moment of pain, something powerful is at work beneath the surface. Pain forces you to slow down. It forces you to stop and pay attention in a way that nothing else does. There's nowhere to hide, no distractions to buffer the impact. In that raw, exposed state, you are open to learning in ways you never could while riding high on success. Pain has a way of stripping everything away, peeling back the layers of pride, ego, and comfort that often cloud our vision. When you're defeated, you can't hide from your own shortcomings. And that's where the magic happens. Because in those moments of weakness, in those moments where you feel the most vulnerable, pain becomes a teacher. Often, the most profound teacher you'll ever have. It teaches you about resilience. Pain has a strange way of testing your limits, of showing you just how much you can endure. At first, it feels unbearable. You may question your ability to keep going. But each time you endure, you grow stronger. Pain helps you discover the depths of your own strength. The strength that only reveals itself when you've been pushed to the edge and forced to choose whether to stay down or rise again. Pain also teaches humility. It humbles you. When defeat strikes, there's no room for arrogance, no room for pretending you have all the answers. You are confronted with your own vulnerability. You see clearly that no matter how much you plan, no matter how much you work, no one is immune to failure. Pain teaches us that our human frailty is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be accepted. And in this acceptance, we find the courage to move forward, wiser and more self-aware. Defeat also demands reflection. It's easy to coast along when things are going well, but when you fall, you have no choice but to look inward. Pain forces you to take a long, hard look at what you did, what went wrong, and, perhaps most importantly, what you can learn from it. Without this reflection, pain would be meaningless, but with it, pain becomes a guide, a beacon showing you the way forward. The lessons you learn from defeat, how to adjust, how to adapt, how to approach the future with a clear understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, are priceless. Through pain, you also learn about perseverance. Defeat may knock you down, but it doesn't have to keep you there. It's through the pain that you find the drive to rise again. In the face of failure, you discover the grit within you, the relentless desire to keep pushing forward, no matter how hard it gets. It's through the darkest moments that your most powerful light begins to shine. The greatest victories often come after the greatest struggles, and pain is the crucible that forges them. But there's something even more transformative about pain. It redefines what success truly means. When you're defeated, you're forced to question your old notions of success. Before defeat, success often feels like a destination, something you strive for, achieve, and then bask in. But after experiencing the depth of pain, success becomes more than just a moment in time. It becomes the sum of all your efforts, all your sacrifices, and most importantly, all your failures. Success in the wake of defeat becomes something deeper, something earned through struggle, through resilience, and through the willingness to get back up, time and time again. Pain also fosters empathy. Once you've experienced defeat, you gain a deeper understanding of others who are struggling. It softens your heart, makes you more compassionate, and reminds you that we are all connected by our shared humanity. The pain of defeat can teach you to lift others up when they fall, to offer support and encouragement when they need it most. So, while defeat may feel like a cruel blow, it is not the end. It is a powerful beginning. Pain will shape you, refine you, and ultimately lead you to a stronger version of yourself. Each failure is not a step backward, but a step forward, a lesson that will guide you toward a future that's brighter, bolder, and more fulfilling than any path that only ever knew victory. Embrace the pain, learn from it, and let it make you who you were always meant to be. In the end, pain's true power lies in its ability to transform. Through defeat, you discover your deepest strengths, uncover truths about yourself that were hidden, and emerge from the ashes more powerful than you ever imagined. Pain is not the enemy, it is the forge in which you are remade. Section 5. The power of reflection. Defeat forces you to look in the mirror, to confront the harsh reality of where you stand. There is no running from it, no hiding from what you've just experienced. The world has a way of making us feel small in the face of failure, as if the universe itself is waiting for us to crumble. But what if, instead of shrinking back, we chose to face ourselves fully? In the quiet aftermath of defeat, there is a unique opportunity to reflect, something that success never quite offers in the same way. When we succeed, we tend to rush ahead, eager for the next goal, too busy celebrating or moving on to pause and absorb the true essence of what just happened. But when we fail, we are forced to stop. The world slows down. The noise fades. It's in this silence that we hear the lessons. Reflection is more than just a moment of regret or self-doubt. It's a profound reckoning with the self. It is the chance to take everything you thought you knew about yourself and break it down, piece by piece. It is in these moments, when you are at your lowest, that the deepest truths about who you are and what you are capable of are revealed. When you reflect on your defeat, you must look not only at the events, but also at your reactions. How did you feel? What emotions ran through your mind? Fear, anger, embarrassment. Each of these is a window into your soul, showing you the places where your strength may have faltered, but also where you have the potential to grow. The choices you made in that moment of failure are key, because they show you the unconscious beliefs you hold about your own limitations. These beliefs, whether you recognize them or not, shape your actions and determine how you approach every challenge. Reflection is also the mirror in which you see your purpose more clearly. In times of defeat, the world may feel uncertain, and you may wonder if your path has been the wrong one all along. Yet it is in these dark moments that the light of your true purpose often shines brightest. Defeat clears away the distractions, forcing you to reconsider why you started in the first place. It separates the trivial from the significant and forces you to acknowledge what truly matters. The pain of failure becomes the crucible in which your purpose is refined. There is also the power of self-compassion in reflection. In our pursuit of success, we tend to be our harshest critics. We hold ourselves to impossible standards, believing that failure makes us less worthy. But reflection, when done right, can show you that your worth is not tied to your victories alone. It's in your persistence, in your ability to stand up after each fall, that your true value lies. Defeat humbles you, yes, but it also provides an opportunity to extend grace to yourself. By acknowledging your mistakes without judgment, you allow yourself the room to grow. You give yourself permission to be imperfect. What you gain from reflection is not just insight into the past, it is the power to shape your future. Each defeat carries with it valuable lessons that, if embraced, will prepare you for whatever lies ahead. Reflection arms you with clarity, with vision, with the wisdom to approach the next challenge with more awareness and understanding than ever before. You are no longer the person you were before the fall. Through reflection, you have evolved. The version of yourself that faced the challenge might have been knocked down, but the version of yourself that emerges from reflection is stronger, sharper, more prepared for the next battle. In the quiet aftermath of defeat, you are given the chance to rise. But first, you must see the power that lies within you. Reflection is the key that unlocks that power. Section 6. Choosing resilience. Every defeat presents a choice, a crucial moment that will determine the course of your journey. The pain of failure can weigh heavily on the soul, tempting you to stay down, to retreat into the shadows of your disappointment. It's easy to allow defeat to define you, to let it become a permanent fixture in your life. When the world seems to collapse around you, when your efforts go unrecognized, there's a natural impulse to give up, to believe that this is as far as you'll ever go. But the choice remains. Will you remain buried beneath the weight of your own self-doubt, or will you rise no matter how many times you've fallen before? Resilience is not born in moments of victory, but in the moments when you are faced with defeat and choose to rise, even when it seems impossible. It is in those dark times, when every ounce of energy and willpower is required to stand up, that resilience is forged. It's easy to be strong when everything is going your way, but true strength emerges from adversity. Every time you stand back up after falling, you rebuild yourself stronger, more prepared, and more determined than before. You build mental muscle, you develop emotional endurance. Resilience grows when you refuse to let setbacks break you. Instead, you use them as stepping stones to something greater. In those moments when you feel like giving up, resilience whispers, "You are more than your failures. You are more than the pain. You have the strength to push through this. You have the power to overcome." Resilience is a choice you make in the face of fear and uncertainty, a choice to embrace the discomfort of failure and use it to fuel your next move. It's not about avoiding pain, but about knowing that every painful experience is a lesson that leads you closer to the person you were meant to become. The path to resilience is long and often lonely. It requires sacrifice, persistence, and a willingness to be vulnerable. There will be moments when you wonder if it's worth it, when you question your ability to keep going. But in the act of choosing resilience, you give yourself the opportunity to grow. With each setback, you learn more about who you are and what you're capable of. With each failure, you become more equipped to face the next challenge. Resilience is what allows you to keep going even when your energy is spent, your hope is thin, and the road ahead seems impossible. It doesn't mean you won't feel exhausted, discouraged, or afraid. It means that, despite all that, you still choose to take the next step. Each time you choose resilience, you not only rise from defeat, you become someone who cannot be easily knocked down again. The storms of life may continue to come, but you'll face them with a strength that refuses to be broken. Resilience is the silent power that allows you to keep moving forward, no matter how hard the journey gets. It is the fire that burns inside you, the fire that will never be extinguished as long as you choose to keep rising. Section 7. The Seeds of Victory. Within the ashes of defeat lie seeds. Small, perhaps insignificant at first, yet with boundless potential. Every failure is a patch of soil, rich with nutrients, waiting to nourish the next stage of your journey. In the heat of defeat, it's easy to think all is lost, that nothing good can come from such pain. But this is the fertile ground in which something powerful begins to grow. Defeat is never truly an end. It's the beginning of something new. When everything you've worked for comes crashing down, there's an initial feeling of destruction, of loss. But buried deep within that pain is the spark of possibility. It's in these moments, when the world feels like it's crumbling, that the seeds of victory are planted. These seeds are born from the very experiences that led to your downfall. They come from your mistakes, your miscalculations, your broken plans. They are the byproducts of your fears, your doubts, and your courage. The raw materials from which new wisdom, resilience, and a new path will emerge. Defeat is not the end, but the perfect condition for growth. Like a seed needs darkness and soil to sprout, victory needs the hard lessons of failure to take root. Not everyone will recognize these seeds. Many will ignore them, abandon them, or let them wither and die. But for those who see beyond the pain, the seeds of victory are waiting to be nurtured. What makes these seeds so powerful is their ability to push you beyond what you thought was possible. They're not just about bouncing back from failure, they're about transforming. With each defeat, you are given a new way of looking at the world and at yourself. You're given the chance to discard old beliefs and create new ones that are stronger, more resilient, and aligned with who you truly are. But growth is never immediate. Seeds take time to sprout. You will have to water them with patience, with hope, and with effort. The growth that follows defeat is not a sudden transformation. It's a slow, steady process. You may not see the results right away, but trust that the roots are sinking deep and the foundation is being built. You must tend to these seeds carefully, for the world will try to pull them out before they have the chance to grow. Doubts, fears, and external pressures will try to convince you that it's not worth it, that the seeds are too small or fragile to amount to anything. But the power of these seeds lies in your ability to persist, to believe in their potential, even when you can't see the fruit yet. Every moment of defeat is an opportunity to deepen your understanding of what it means to be human. It forces you to reckon with your limitations, your vulnerabilities, and your weaknesses. It humbles you, but humility is the soil in which resilience grows. Once you recognize that your failures don't define you, but serve as stepping stones, you give yourself permission to embrace this growth process. There's a wisdom that comes from enduring hardship. It's the understanding that your failures do not diminish your worth, they enhance it. With each setback, you learn more about your true strength and your true capabilities. The seeds of victory are not just about reaching the top, they're about learning who you are and realizing the vast potential that exists within you. As you continue to nurture these seeds, you will see the first signs of growth. They may come in small, quiet ways, perhaps in a new skill, a deeper understanding, or a renewed sense of determination. These early signs may be fragile, but they'll be unmistakable. They will prove that the seeds of victory are taking root and moving you towards something greater than you could have imagined when you first faced defeat. And when the growth comes, when victory starts to take shape, it may look different than you envisioned, but it will be stronger, more meaningful, and more fulfilling than you ever imagined. Victory is not just about achieving a goal, it's about who you become in the process. The greatest victories in life are born from the seeds planted in failure. Every powerful story of achievement, from humble inventors to legendary leaders, has its roots in moments of defeat. The world's greatest achievers didn't rise from perfection. They rose from the cracks, from the mistakes, from the struggles that pushed them to dig deeper and try harder. You are no different. The seeds of your victory are growing, even now. Though you may not see them yet, they are there, quietly taking root. And one day, when the harvest comes, it will be the most beautiful, most fulfilling success you could ever imagine. The seeds of victory are planted with every defeat, and in time, they will bear fruit. Victory doesn't come without defeat, but it's in the heart of defeat that the seeds of success are sown. The question is not whether you will fail, but how you will use that failure to grow into the person worthy of success. Section 8. Defeat is temporary. Defeat is a moment, not a permanent state. It's easy to feel as though failure is the end when you're in the midst of it. The weight of disappointment, the sting of dreams slipping through your fingers, these moments can feel all-consuming. But if you look closely, you'll realize that every setback, every fall is fleeting. The circumstances might feel eternal, but the truth is that defeat does not last forever. The greatest strength lies in understanding that defeat is a temporary visitor. It's a stop along the journey, not the final destination. Yes, in the moment it seems like everything is lost, that every door has closed. But time, as relentless as it is, always moves forward. What feels like a mountain to climb today becomes a distant memory tomorrow. And what once seemed impossible is achievable with persistence and a shift in mindset. The key is to recognize that defeat, like success, is cyclical. It is part of the process of growth, of evolution. Every great story of triumph over adversity involves a period of hardship, of losing, of falling. But the beauty of defeat is that it can fuel change. It demands growth, pushes you to evolve, and forces you to rise again with newfound wisdom. By accepting defeat as a passing phase rather than a permanent condition, you allow yourself the freedom to heal and rebuild. The mistake many make is believing that a single loss defines their entire journey. They let that one moment overshadow the potential of all that is yet to come. In doing so, they surrender their power. Defeat only becomes permanent when you let it define you. The fear of failure, the shame of falling, are not truths about who you are, but beliefs you allow to dictate your actions. These beliefs are not inherent, they are learned. And like any learned behavior, they can be unlearned. The power lies in shifting the perspective that a moment of loss doesn't strip you of your worth. It only teaches you where you can improve, where you can push further, and where you can grow stronger. When you look at defeat through this lens, it transforms from an obstacle into a stepping stone. You begin to understand that nothing lasts forever. Not the pain, not the disappointment, and certainly not the feeling of defeat. The world moves on, the future unfolds, and the opportunity to try again is always just around the corner. Every great achiever knows this. No victory would ever taste as sweet if there had not been a battle, a loss, or a struggle along the way. Defeat is temporary, and in that temporary moment, the seeds of your next rise are already taking root. What happens next? That is up to you. Section 9. Finding strength in weakness. There is a strange power in weakness, a paradox that the world often overlooks. It's in the moments when we feel most vulnerable that we are, in fact, at our most potent. When we are stripped of our defenses, when we face the raw, unfiltered reality of our struggles, we uncover a strength we never knew existed. Defeat has a way of tearing away the illusions we build around ourselves. In that bare, exposed state, we find the real power that lies within us. It is in our moments of brokenness that we often become whole. Weakness teaches humility, and humility is not a flaw, it is the foundation of growth. When you are humble enough to accept that you don't have all the answers, you open yourself up to learning. You are no longer confined to your ego, no longer trapped in the belief that you have mastered everything. Instead, you become a student of life, constantly evolving, always ready to listen and adapt. Through this process, the most resilient individuals are born. They rise not because they are invincible, but because they are willing to acknowledge their imperfections and learn from them. In defeat, you begin to see the world in a different light. You stop believing in the false idea of invulnerability. The glossy images of perfection fade away and the truth comes into sharper focus. No one is immune to failure. No one is exempt from hardship. Yet it is precisely in this shared human experience that we discover a collective strength. By admitting our own weakness, we align ourselves with others who have faced similar struggles, forging connections that transcend superficial divides. The broken parts of us unite to create a force greater than anything we could achieve alone. Weakness also reveals our true desires. When everything falls apart, the superficial ambitions, the ones shaped by external pressures, fall away, leaving only what truly matters. It is in these moments of struggle that we confront the deepest parts of ourselves. We come face to face with our most authentic dreams, the ones we were too afraid to pursue before. Defeat helps us peel back the layers of societal expectations and shows us the path we should have been walking all along. There is an incredible beauty in embracing your vulnerability. It means accepting that you are human, that you are allowed to fail, and that you don't have to be perfect. This acceptance fosters resilience, the kind that doesn't break under pressure. When you accept your flaws, you transform them. You take the very things that once made you feel small and turn them into the driving force behind your resurgence. Your weakness becomes a source of power. Your scars become your story of strength. Through defeat, you are also able to see the world with new eyes. The things you once thought were important, material success, superficial approval, begin to lose their luster. What truly matters becomes clearer. Relationships deepen and compassion grows. The need to prove yourself diminishes, replaced by a desire to live authentically and to share your experiences with others. The greatest strength lies not in what we accumulate, but in how we connect, how we uplift others who are also navigating their own struggles. There is a certain quiet power that comes with knowing your own limits. When you've been through defeat, you no longer see challenges as threats. Instead, you see them as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to test your resilience, to push beyond what you once believed was possible. This quiet strength is unshakable because it's rooted in a deep understanding of who you are and what you're capable of. It is no longer about winning every battle. It's about knowing how to rise when you fall. Defeat also opens the door to collaboration. When you acknowledge your weaknesses, you allow others in. No longer do you feel the need to hide your struggles behind a mask of perfection. Instead, you invite others to share their own stories of hardship, their own lessons learned from failure. In doing so, you create a community of support, a network of individuals who lift each other up. The most powerful alliances are not forged in victory, but in the shared experience of overcoming defeat. Ultimately, weakness is the gateway to transformation. It is the starting point from which true strength is built. Without the vulnerability of defeat, there can be no real growth. It is the rawness of failure that refines us, that shapes us into something greater. As you rise from the ashes of your defeat, you carry with you the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the deep knowledge that you are capable of so much more than you ever thought possible. Section 10. Rising Again. There's a moment in every struggle when you stand at the edge, feeling the weight of defeat pressing down on your chest. You've fallen, stumbled, and perhaps even hit rock bottom. But that moment, the one where it feels like everything is lost, is not the end. It's the beginning of something new. The question is not if you will rise, but how. You stand now at the crossroads. Behind you lies the failure, the disappointment, the days spent questioning everything. In front of you, an uncertain path, one that holds the potential for greatness if you choose to walk it. This path is not easy. It will demand everything from you, but it is yours to walk, and it is full of possibility. The strength to rise doesn't come from pretending that you haven't been broken. It comes from the willingness to accept that defeat has touched you. It has left its mark on your heart and mind, but it does not define you. The true power is in knowing that you have the capacity to rebuild, to renew, and to emerge stronger than before. Defeat is not a life sentence. It is a powerful force that shapes and refines. You are not the same person you were before the fall. Each time you rise, you do so with the wisdom and experience of the past. Every scar, every bruise, every wound becomes a part of your story. They are not signs of weakness, but reminders of what you've survived. You carry those experiences with you, and they make you tougher, more resilient, more aware of your own strength. When you rise again, you rise with the knowledge of what it took to get back up. That knowledge will carry you through future challenges, making you even more formidable. The first step in rising is the hardest one, deciding to get up. The weight of defeat is heavy, and it's tempting to remain on the ground, to let the pain and despair consume you. But in that decision to rise, you find the essence of your strength. It is a quiet defiance, a refusal to stay down even when the world is pushing you into the dirt. And with that defiance comes a spark that grows into a flame of purpose, determination, and unshakable resolve. The process of rising is not always smooth, it's messy. There are stumbles, false starts, and moments of doubt. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory in itself. You'll fall again, perhaps, but with each fall comes the strength to rise faster, to rise stronger, to rise wiser. The act of rising is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It requires you to reconnect with your deepest self, to remember who you are at your core. And at your core, you are not the sum of your failures, but the potential of what you can become. Every time you rise, you are reshaping yourself. The person you were before defeat is not the person you become after it. You evolve. You become more than just a survivor. You become someone who has mastered the art of transformation. The strength you gain from overcoming defeat is not something that can be taken away. It is part of who you are now, a permanent change that cannot be undone. Defeat doesn't break you. It molds you into someone new, someone better, someone who can handle whatever life throws your way. In this moment of rising, you also gain a deeper understanding of the world around you. You realize that everyone, no matter how perfect their outward appearance may seem, has their own battles. Everyone has faced defeat, just like you. And as you rise, you find yourself more compassionate, more understanding, and more empathetic. You no longer see defeat as something to be ashamed of. You see it as a shared experience that connects you to the rest of humanity. But the most powerful part of rising is that it shows you the extraordinary power within the ordinary. You may not have noticed it before, but you are capable of far more than you imagined. You are capable of healing. You are capable of growth. You are capable of overcoming. And when you rise again, you do it with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing exactly what you're made of. So, rise. Rise because you are meant for greatness, and defeat is not the thing that will stop you. Rise because you have a purpose that is bigger than the pain you feel right now. Rise because the world needs the person you will become. And when you rise, rise with the strength, the wisdom, and the fire of someone who has known the power of defeat and is stronger for it. The power of defeat is not in the fall, but in the rising. And now you rise. Defeat is not a curse. It is a fire. It burns away illusions, strips us of ego, and leaves us with the raw, undeniable truth of who we are. In that truth lies strength, not the kind that boasts, but the kind that endures. To be defeated is to be tested. It is to feel the weight of the world bearing down and to carry it, inch by inch, forward. Every scar tells a story. Every wound is proof of a battle fought. The broken pieces within you are not signs of weakness. They are the marks of a soul that has lived, struggled, and refused to give up. Remember this. Defeat does not own you. It does not decide your destiny. It is merely the soil from which your greatest triumph can grow. Within the ruins of every failure lies the potential for something greater than before. Stronger foundations, deeper roots, and the courage to rise again. Take a moment. Breathe in the lessons defeat has taught you. Feel its weight and let it shape you, but never let it bury you. Growth is painful. Progress is slow. But transformation? It is inevitable when you refuse to quit. The journey ahead may still be long. The battles yet to come may be fierce. But you, now forged in fire, armed with resilience and guided by wisdom, are ready. Defeat has been your teacher. Now let victory be your reward. This is not where your story ends. It is where it begins anew. Now click this video to discover 10 subconscious habits that might be making you too nice. You won't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more insightful videos. Your support helps grow this channel and bring more valuable content your way. Thanks for watching, and remember, be stoic, always.